Hello, one and all, and welcome to an all-new EML Championship. This is the Formula 2 League at the first round we're ever going to see in the first season, and this is going to be the Canadian Grand Prix we have upon us here tonight. Now in this first round, of course, this is the second tier that's been set up in terms of the EML Drivers' Championships, and so we're going to move on with it now. As for Formula 2, one thing to mention is that it is a assist tier, I should say. Well, it is only allows line. Racing line is the only assist allowed, whereas the Formula 1 tier is strictly no assist. That is the only key difference between this and Formula 1. And so we'll see how it all unfolds tonight then. And so now we're going to have our first round ahead of us, as I mentioned, is at Canada. Canada being a very intriguing circuit then. Bit of a street circuit. It's going to be low grip then. The track surface is going to be trying to slide out from underneath the drivers as they tackle this circuit here tonight. One more thing to mention is, of course, the walls ever looming around here. Just one wrong move, you can find yourself stacked in the barriers here and around Canada. And so keep an eye out for that then, all the way through. Currently we've got 10 drivers in the lobby, of course. It is a new tier, so probably don't expect too high in terms of the attendance, but we should be able to hopefully build on that throughout the remaining rounds in the championship. And so we'll probably get this underway very shortly. Within a few minutes, we can get things started. But that's pretty much what you need to know. The rest of it is just the same as usual in terms of the format. We're just going to be looking at a similar 50% race distance league with just line enabled for the driver. Still a challenge to go around there. And so we'll see how they all navigate it then. Canada being the first track, of course, on the agenda. And of course, well, we weren't able to get underway last time out in Baku, but we will resume yet again this time out at Canada. The calendar does contain 7 rounds from here on out up to the end of the championship calendar. Here, of course, is Canada. After that, we've got Britain, Austria, Belgium, Italy, Singapore, Brazil to round out the list of races we are going to have ahead of us. As you can see now, we are just about on schedule actually. We should be going pretty shortly then into the race, into the event. We're certainly very intriguing to see how everything is going to unfold then, with everything set up and in front of us, as we're going to get readied up very, very shortly. Prepared and raring to go racing, I suspect. All these guys on the circuit, and it's going to be very intriguing to see who comes out on top then amongst these 10. Again, the numbers should begin to spike throughout the rounds after this. We're going to get more drivers in soon enough, and then we can just continue as we went to before. And Canada going to be interesting. It's one of the shortest circuits actually on the entire Formula 1 calendar, the circuit Gilles Villeneuve, so expect lap times to be pretty close around here as we do begin now to ready up. I think we are going to be getting underway very, very shortly. This circuit, this race course, very, very popular, I'd say, amongst the Formula 1 audience. It being 14 corners that the drivers are going to have to navigate, and of course featuring a massive 1 kilometre long back straight heading into the infamous Wall of Champions. That's where you're going to see a lot of the overtaking, I suspect, here tonight, as we now look to get everything ready, everything set for the first time to see these guys on track together. And so now we load in then to the final few seconds before we get qualifying underway. Going to be a fast and frantic session, no doubt about that then, as everyone's going to be dueling for the same piece of tarmac out there. The lower numbers may actually serve as a bit of a benefit to the drivers out there. They're going to be able to keep an eye out for each other, avoid each other out there on the circuit, as now we look to get ready. So going to be loading in first of all then into Canada. We're going to have the short qualifying session, of course, 18 minutes in length ahead of us, where the drivers should be able to get 4 runs of lap time in to kick things off. So now we prepare then, just going to get loaded in. The drivers going to be finalising their strategies in terms of the way their tyres are going to be allocated ahead of the race then. And so we're getting that all sorted out then. In terms of strategy, Canada is a pretty intriguing circuit. Tyre wear is quite high around here, despite it being a street circuit. You're starting softs then, which are of course all these guys inside the top 10. They may well be on that, but maybe some of them were going out for mediums, go for a bit more of a tactical approach. That is going to unfold then. Sorted out. So we just need but ready to proceedings now here tonight. We'll see who the first driver out on track is going to be for the first round of EML Formula 2. So, I think we're seeing a car emerging from the pit lane now. And yeah, expect a lot of lap times to be coming in early there. PRTR will be the first driver out then. We do have another entry to the race, which is fantastic to see there. That's Clef, and he will actually have pretty much guaranteed. I assume he's not going to be able to take part in the qualifying session. We'll have free choice of tyres coming the race then, and so have that benefit. But PRTR now out there at the moment is going to look to try and navigate this Montreal circuit. As I mentioned earlier, 14 corners for these drivers to take on. It is actually quite a difficult track because it's one that rewards maximum commitment right up against the walls here. But of course, that could always risk losing a front wing or even a wheel. It's going to be fascinating down there. And of course, in terms of strategies around here, as I get some horrible camera angles there, you can start on softs, but you can go to mediums actually from the soft, but that is going to be risking punctures. Soft, medium, soft, generally considered a more encouraging strategy, or even soft hard through the race. It's going to be 35 laps in length. But of course, some of these guys might be opting for the mediums. In that case, you can go to the softs fairly easily. But everyone has the softs opened up then here at qualifying so far. And that is how we're going to be moving on to the session. It's a PRTR. Will be the first driver across then to take on this Montreal circuit. Let's see if the McLaren has two over for us here tonight through the final chicane then. Running up onto the curb and opening DRS for the first time and over the lane. Now to kick things off, they're using the race like easy over to the right hand side of the track then. And a turn one getting it all locked up, tight lane. The turn two, no way does he apply that throttle pedal in the lane. Now heading at a turn 3 and 4 then at the second chicane, clipping the curbs on the inside and outside then. Keeping it nice and steady then through turn 5 and into the end of the first sector split then. 19.2 is the time through that first sector. They get it all locked up a little bit. Heading at turn 6, the exit over turn 7 is critical as you open up the DRS again. Then heading down the back straight, heading into turns 8 and 9. Again, having to use as much of the track as you possibly can. Getting yourself onto the power. Now preparing yourself for the run into the hairpin, braking pretty late as you dare, hooking up onto the tight line there, grabbing that curb on the inside this PRTR. Not necessarily the best way around there, but we'll see if he can use that to carry himself forward. Now, opening up that DRS yet again, heading down the back straight then with DRS open, now preparing yourself for the wall of champ into the final chicane then, hooking it up to the apex then, running through the exit, opening up DRS for the third and final time on the lap. PRTR crosses 109.2 is the first lap time we see here in EML Formula 2. We had Red that is coming over the line then. He didn't get a competitive lap time and that was on that was invalid, so he'll have to back out from that then. Siege is made on the track at the moment then. Let's see if he attacks that final chicane there. Cuts the inside slightly, gets away with it right up against the wall. Through the exit, going for the line, it's going to go just on the pole lane by 3/10 of a second and TTGC's up to the top for the moment and just into the 108s. We'll see how the rest of the times are going to set up there. His teammate Arvin Mike is heading through that middle sector now, getting on to those brakes into the chicane again, keeping it just about clean on the inside curve and now flooring it to the line. ASW Arvin Mike crosses, goes to P3 then just right PRTR on a 109.2 as well. Reno up to the line, that's Fletty, he's quick to the middle centre, he's incredibly fast. A 108.2 storms to pole position at the moment, so HMW Fletty making a statement in. Early on in Formula 2, these guys will all out for each other then. They're going to want to try and get that early psychological edge. Heading throughout the remainder of the session then, as we are still in the early stages of qualifying, very early stages, and the session as a whole, of course. And it's DRS open for Hedy. It looks pretty quick over the line and goes 2,000s off the top. Oh my word, incredibly close margins between those front two, and that could be a sign of things to come for the race as well. Wow, almost all together. Next to Turbo, I think he's backed off with a flying lap though, and actually diving for the pit lane then, so maybe not satisfied with the opening that the AlphaTauri had. I think it's pretty quiet out there. I think that's going to be the first runs mostly put to bed then early in the session. Still everyone with the soft tyres fitted, no interest in going for the mediums or any other compound early on, as yes, Fleddy will go in there. So it looks like everyone is going to be going in at the conclusion of the opening runs at the moment. As I think we're seeing Cliff having a bit of issues with the connection. Hopefully he is able to get in and stay in further down the line. Of course, with attendance admittedly quite low, I think we can probably see as many drivers getting themselves in as possible. But everyone now looks to be heading towards the pit lane. He's actually over. Mike is still out there pushing, and the Ferrari pressing, heading into turn 7, opening up that DRS to the short shoot towards turn 8, spectacularly under the bridge, through the shadows, and now emerging, coming through the chicane right up against the wall to the exit for Arthur Mike. Is he up in the middle sector? He is just about then. A 41 flat it is, and about 2 tenths up. He can jump up in a P4. Maybe if he nails the final sector, could be challenging his teammate possibly up at the front of the grid. So let's see how the Ferrari approaches these final 2 corners at turns 13 and 14. You need to be committed, you need to be brave through here and try to keep it out the walls through the ace. Arthur Mike getting it onto the curb. It's nice and clean though, taking a shorts run all the way to the line. Mike goes in a P4, just shy of Sage's lap time then. He sets at the moment on a 109. Uncle Ben's Rice has put on mediums in the pit lane and is actually going to merge on the yellow walls. 1:11.2 was the lap time, and maybe he thinks he could do a little bit more than that, than even on these yellow wall tyres as it stands for the moment. I think Dertabo is the furthest driver along then, so we'll keep an eye on the AlphaTauri there. Fleddy on top for the moment. Dertamo though, who probably comes into this as one of the favourites, will look to try and really stamp his authority on the field. Maybe we'll see lap times getting into the 1:07s further down the line then at the end of the session, as all these guys, I'm sure, are going to have plenty of room to improve, plenty of time to find as we get towards the halfway mark here at qualifying. Dertamo will open things up then for the first time, punching out of the final turn. Now to the line, Dertamo. Let's run through another whole lap of this Montreal circuit, getting onto the brakes and at turn 1 then, locking it all up and using the curb on the inside, a little bit over the line, and at turn 2, scoops it back in late and gets onto the throttle as early as the AlphaTauri can muster up now. And at turns 3 and 4, crucial to get the most out of the track. Limits is so easy to invalidate here, but you gotta struggle with the limits at 119 flat. It's pretty quick to the first sector for Dertamo at the moment then. Getting out, managing that throttle pedal then. You have to be patient on the right foot, not too eager, or you're going to be finding yourself spearing off into the wall. Dertamo holds it together. Now it turns 8 and 9. Trying to coax the car to the outside curve there, keeping it nice and steady. Heading through, and he is decent in the middle sector there. 40.5 is the time so far for the AlphaTauri. Let's see if he can find a little bit more then. Coming out the hairpin traction is clean. It's been a very controlled lap so far from Dertamo. No major mistakes, and he's been able to just about keep it clean out there. And then he can prepare himself for one last run through the chicane there on the inside line. Just been able to keep it together now. Getting onto the throttle again. Dertamo now coming up to the line then. Where does he put himself? It is P3, less than 2 tenths off pole, with a storming last sector to push it further up then. Not quite. Made a good statement for himself early on. And I think we're seeing now PRTR is on a flying lap, and he is a bit down though. Heading through that middle sector. Can he find the traction? Coming over there. A little bit of a wiggle across the track, through the grass slightly, just about manages to keep it on the track, but I think he's backed off there. He knows he may well be too far down to make up for it. Uncle Ben's Rice is out there. He's also validated that on a lap then, as Red is going to move through then and preparing himself for the run through the last chicane. Let's see how committed the Renault is going to be then. Really attacking the curb, just been able to keep it clean, running right up against the wall to the exit then. Over to DRS, to the line he goes. It is P5 then, the 5th driver into the 108s at the moment, 108.859 is the time for the Renault, just under its down on TTG Siege, just in front for the moment. Still lap times heading out there. Fletty is very quick through the first sector and still up through the middle sector as it stands with the Renault getting himself laid up for a run up to the lane. It is just started the lap time, and behind it 2000 severing those guys. You know they're going to be going right to the lane and fading it out to the nail to the end of the session. And so now we look towards that final chicane. HMW Fletty really attacking the apex end, running up to the curb on the outside. DRS is wide over there, reducing the drag to the lane. Fletty improves. Big last sector then. 108 dead is the lap time so far. It's going to be a set, but we've not seen so far. He is starting up, looking to get onto a flag lap. Again, looks to be maybe one of the quicker drivers on raw pace. He'll be looking for more out there. Reds is still pressing at the moment then, looking to improve further then, but he invalidates on the inside lane. All the good work comes undone, crucially and painstakingly for the Renault. He would have put himself up in a P4, and very close to there. Tamo at P3 as well would have been right in the mix then. Uncle Ben's Rice is still pushing out there, but I think he's just lining up for another flying lap. The McLaren is out there then. That is heading. He is slightly down though in the middle sector, really attacking the chicane. He knows he needs to go all in, trying to overhaul Fletty to the lane. He goes in up to the top. He does improve, but not enough then. This time the gap is 700ths of a second or so, 600ths of a second more accurately. And so he's right in the mix, but ultimately Fletty has just about seen him off. Let's look now to Skidaway Seb then, who sets a decent run to the middle sector, but seemed to have run a compromise lane. He's actually backed off there behind Arthur Mike, who may have interrupted him slightly. He is on a push lap himself though, so ultimately nothing either of them could have been doing about it. Mike though, he is down at the moment. Can he find a little bit more time through the chicane? Is he going to go all out for it then? Is he going to commit to the apex? Yes he is! He keeps it clean over the curves. Now opens the DRS, running up to the line yet again. ESW, Arthur Mike crosses, but he is still down then. A 109.4 is the lap time. The Ferrari has to settle for. And I think we are now in something we're quite safe in the session. Tamo though is out there. He's going to look to try and go on a little bit further. Arthur Mike is still out there. He's still pushing actually. And the Ferrari, and he is up in that middle centre. Good lap time actually so far. We'll see if he can continue that press through the rest of the session, running out wide through turn 7. Just been able to keep the Ferrari on the road in between the lanes. And now in a turn then, they're really aggressive with the internet, locking it all up as he stands on the brakes. Now to the middle centre split. Let's see, is he up on his lap time? He is by 0.3 of a second. Looking to put himself up onto the second row if he can keep and nail this last sector out of the hair, but it's nice and clean. 100 metres of DRS now goes over the line, and the rear leg is fluttering open. Now coming through Maze is retarding the pit lane. He seems to have no interest of getting on the board, has barely left the pits in this session. Over Mike now to the lane he goes. Can he put himself up onto the second row? Yes he can. It's a 108.6, a few tenths down onto Tamo though, but the Tamo is up and flying, heading in down the back straight now with DRS open again. Let's see what the run is through this last chicane then. Is he going to be nailing onto the curbs then? He's going to commit to it right over, hopping over the chicane, opens the DRS again, plenty of pole position. Can Tamo find the time? He almost can, but ultimately still has to settle for best of the rest by the top two. He has been riding their coattails so far all the way throughout that session, but unable to quite overhaul them just yet though. Looks like no one is on a flying lap at the moment. I think PRTR is just lining up for one, of course. Set the first lap time of the session. Hasn't improved since, and with just 4.5 minutes left to go. He'll be eager to find a little bit more of this. Good race Seb is just behind him as well. Of course, having his last run compromised by Mike, he'll be looking to try and press himself further up the order. So let's look now to try to work out who's next up and over a flying lap. I think it will actually be Skidderate Seb coming up and over the line. So let's see what the Red Bull can muster up. That keeps it fouled right up against the wall, almost brushing it millimeters away, but is able to keep the car on the road and clear. Now in a turn 1, they're using the grass to turn the car in, locks it up and makes the apex really aggressive over the curb in a turn 2, but finds the throttle pedal, finds the right balance and keeps the car on the road then. Heading into turns 3 and 4 then, again using the grass. He is really committed then, and the Red maximize the width of the track, and he has a good first sector then. An 18.9 at the moment. There Tamo has gone out the session And I hope that doesn't cause a bit of a mass disconnection. Hopefully get back in, because he is the lobby host. And to see him go out is, I admit, rather concerning. So we'll see what happens there. Dear Tamo, hopefully, I don't think he'll have backup invites for himself. If so, if it comes to it, I may well have to invite him in very quickly. Scooter Race said we'll keep tracking him, the Red Bull, throughout the remainder of this hot lap. I'm not sure who the next host of the lobby is going to be. We're just going to have to wait and see how that all unfolds. I'll keep you guys updated in the situation going through the chat possibly. But Scooter Race said more pressing matters then. Heading into the final chicane, then attacking the car with the inside line, keeps it clean. That's a great run through the final chicane, opens the DRS. He's not got time on the board. Let's see where he pushes it. It's double the pole position and storming to it. It won. 7-7. Superb. Phenomenal. Sensational from Scooter Race. Who goes to the top? Can anyone else try and match that lap time? Uncle Ben's races out there then, but not quite on the pace of some of the others. He is substantially improving on the lap time he has for the moment. But let's see what he could do then throughout this last set then. The rest of the field covered by around the second and a half. Uncle Ben's race, if he gets a good run, will try and put himself up and amongst that then. As Scooter Race has been disqualified for being parked. That's parked on the edge of turn 1. Not exactly sure. Maybe he's content with what he's done in the session. Uncle Ben's race crosses, goes to the P8. Scooter Race officially disqualified. Just 8 cars now left in the qualifying session as it stands. Sage is now out then in a rather peculiar time. Now Fleddy's lap is no longer showing purple because Scooter Race time has just been blanked, and the provisional pole sitter now running at the back of the field. This is extraordinary stuff. Never seen anything like this. So now the Red Bull is going to have to recover from the rear of the field. Now TTG Siege is going to be out there then, and the Ferrari's teammate Mike just coming over the line, starting a lap then. 1.5 minutes to go and the qualifying session. Siege is coming around now, wants to try and overhaul his teammate then. Heading to the line as the Ferrari's a 108.6 and by the tiniest of margins gets himself through up in a 4th place, and the Ferrari's flip-flopping over those places out on the track. Who's going to be next up to tackle a flying lap then? Reds is coming up to the line, but I think he's backed off and is looking to go again. Further down the line, Uncle Ben's race is backed off a flying lap. PRTR is out there at the moment and looking to press over. I think Mike's a little bit further along. Slightly down though through that first set. Is going to have to try and look for improvements then throughout the remainder of the flying lap, and he cuts the inside of turn 8 and it's going to have to back off that surely. A look to get better lap times in. Further down the line at PRTR, Red's just behind on the lap as well then. Both those guys looking for improvements at PRTR then. On a 109.2 at the moment and it's got the Ferrari just in front of him. No slipstream will be given though by Siege. He is up though by about 2/10 of a second. He's going to need to find more though if he wants to put himself up on to that third row of the ground and up where Red's is. But Red's on the lap as well behind. Will be looking to try and put himself further up the order. The clock about to expire then. The session drawing to a close and now everyone looking to dispute that pole position out on the circuit. PRTR first up the same up to the plate, heading through the chicane, runs it out to the wall then, through the grass, he pushes to the limit now, coming through, but he improves but not by much. He stays in 7th place and Red still has not been able to find more time and won't push himself up towards the Ferraris. He would have been, Mike actually been on level time with Siege, but ultimately that invalidation cost him dear. Henny is now out there and he wants to try to overhaul Fleddy here. He gets a really nice run, heading through the chain, clips the wall on the exit, but he's still got momentum to the line. Isn't on pole position? Just about by 300ths of a second. Can he hold on to that? Fleddy's mind's barely up then. It's going to come down to the wire here, but he does it. Fleddy on a 107 then gets Falcon to Tom will get through. No, he's invalidated then. He won't be able to find that time. He would have got it, actually would have got it at P2 right between him, and ultimately wouldn't have been enough then. I remember Mike is well down in his lap. He is backed off there. Lefty got the throttle. PRTR is out there then. Reds is backed off as well. I think that's it for qualifying. Fleddy just getting himself on a pole then. Henny ran him all the way. Those two class on the road. Derthaman wasn't able to get up with him. But Scootery accept disqualifying himself wasn't an intentional tactic. I'm not exactly sure. I've never seen anything like that. He does disqualify himself at a time that would have been good enough for pole. Ultimately, to the back of the grid then. So Fleddy will start from pole. We wait for the others to bring their sessions to a close. Mike and Reds into the pit lane. PRTR crosses. Draws it to an end. And Fleddy does, who does claim that pole position in the hot seat come the racing. Mason's going to be a save. I'm wondering if they did that. So they did have a valid lap time on these subs and have a free choice of tyres. come the race. I feel like that is the strategy these guys may well have it going along with. As we now just bide our time. Red it is that is going to have to retire from the session eventually, as the clock will eventually expire, but I don't think we want to keep waiting for too long. There we go. That is qualifying for the first round of EML Formula 2 in the books. And now we prepare ourselves for the race in front of us. 35 laps. As I mentioned, you can see there the results to qualify. Freddy on pole from Henny P2, Dertamo P3. Those three were never really touched from behind this. Siege does get P4, just besting his teammate Mike. Incredibly tight between those two. Reds is P6, PRTR, and Uncompetitive Sunrise. Round it, the drivers has set up lap times, only 8 of the 10. And Maze and Scooter ASM. Maze showed no interest in the session. Scooter ASM disqualifying himself from the session. Sits there in 10th place, but now we're going to get ready in front of the race. And so Freddy is going to start from pole, heading alongside him. Going to get a quick drinks break, then we'll be back to take it on then. It's going to be the two Dutchmen fighting for the lead in a turn 1. It's a short run, but who's going to be able to make it then? The battle in a turn 1 so critical though. The leader's always going to have a big advantage in this race. And so, we have everything settled. It is going to be an overcast day then ahead of us in Canada. Looks like that's going to be what the drivers are going to have to put up with it. We'll see how the conditions evolve. If they're going to ease up then, the clouds going to left the heavens to open. For what? For sun or for rain? Could it evolve to that point, and the drivers will be aware of the strategies they will be willing to run. Also worth noting, Cliff has been able to get in the session then. Dortamo's here as well after the disconnection. Not sure who's lobby host, but at the moment it is holding up steadily enough for the moment. So I think we can just bank on it, keeping itself together. So now we look to get ourselves lined up for the first race here in EML Formula 2. You can see everyone settled on the grid then. I'm ready to get things underway. Fleddy will lead us away for the formation lap. 35 laps in front of us in a relatively high Diatech circuit. It's going to be fascinating to see how everyone manages that. We're from the back of the field, and Mason is actually who's opted for the medium, so maybe that was a strategy all along the league order. Wants to try and stay that top 10 well on mediums. That is a fascinating position for the Mercedes man to put himself in. We'll see how he copes with that then throughout the remainder of the race then, but Fleddy is going to have the pole position, has multiple cars between himself and Maze to try and keep that gap alive. Fleddy then, from the front, Henry will sit him behind in P2. He'll look to try and find any which way through he can, but of course, pole position, unlike at most tracks, gets the inside lane at turn 1 there, because it is such a short run then. You're going to be more advantage from being on that inner line then, heading into the first corner. Fleddy though is going to be leading him out then. Henry will try and track him down there. Dortamo behind will try and benefit from that then. 11 drivers are going to dispute this race. We'll see how they all get on there, but Fleddy it is who is leading them out. Heading up to the grid, the Renault driver goes. Henry will try and go along with him then. Heading up to the grid now. The Renault driver will take his spot. McLaren situated alongside him. They're going to be going for it. And who's going to have that lead in turn 1 then? Heading up to the line. 11 drivers and 1 grid then ahead of us. Fleddy coming up to the grid. Can he hold on to that lead? Henry will throw everything at him. Who's going to grab the all important for the race? The spearhead of the field heading into the first corner. The rear of the field settles. Now we have the inaugural race and EML Formula 2 about to get underway in seconds as we build up to 5 red lights. And the Canadian Grand Prix is underway for the front of the grid. Then looks like heading up the slightly better start for the front row. Flady's going to cover him off there. Tamo lunging down the inside. And the AlphaTauri is covered off though by the McLaren. Out way behind then is the other rider of Reds who's trying to attack the Ferraris down there as they all get through and attack the Reds. It's been a phenomenal start. He runs around the outside of Siege, who has to tug him behind. At the moment there, PRTR gets the jumping over Mike, who's slipped badly on this first lap behind the McLaren as well. Then as they all filtered through in a turn 6, the Red Bull is going to be a central make progressing. He's a main clip. It's been a very good start from the back of the field. That pressure, then pressed by the Red Bull, who draws alongside then towards turn 8, then claims the inside lane. Loose try get in front then on the inside of the racing point. Has sealed and runs away from behind then. Is going to try to hold it around Uncle Ben's race, who makes a mistake. Then through goes Mason behind in the Haas, dropping the car slightly. But it's just been able to keep it on the road then. Mays trying to get up to Gerald, to Cliff. Jeez, the moment that can't get through. Tabo now attacking heading against the McLaren all lined up, who's on the overtake again, chasing down Fletty as well. Looks like he's got low wings. Looks like he's got a whole host of straight line speed to contend with. But Fletty will hold it back for the time being then as they run their way through the chicane. You can see them out on the overtake and a bit of a game of chess with each other early on in the race. It's going to race in, but looking over with Mike, and Welshman is able to hold it back, but runs wide into turn 1 then, and now it's going to race in, can try and get underneath him, cannot get through the Ferrari, has got enough traction, coming over turn 2 to see that challenge up. It's going to race in, it's on the attack already, hooks up a better line as well, heading through turn 4 and 5, and now he's going to run to the outside through 5, can he get the inside of the 6, it's going to race in, Brave on the brakes, gets a stop then, Mike trying to hold it all the way around, it's going to get pinched there, turn 7, and through goes Race up another position. Up at a P7 now, he'll try to chase down PRTR Siege and the rest of the leading bunch out there on the track for the moment. He's got some work to do at the moment then. Over the front then, Fletty leads, Henry and Dirtamo and the AlphaTauri. Try chasing the McLaren, no DRS just yet. Then these top two are beginning to distance themselves from the rest of the field. The AlphaTauri looks threatening though on the rear wing, and the Dutchman who's able to hold it back for the time being, but the German is ever threatening then, and when DRS is activated, oh hell will break loose. Surely these guys will jostle for position, heading with a penalty already. Only 2 laps into the race, he's cut 3 corners, and that is going to be a major setback for penalties. I assume that a lot of the field are going to be picking him up. Then Ogben's race as well, getting another one. It's so difficult to keep the car up between the 2 white lanes here at Canada, and so you're already seeing evidence of that so far. Can he try and get up to Flatey? And he needs to try and get himself up in front of command this racing with a penalty already to the McLaren driver's name. He runs out behind Flatey, who holds it back for the time being. Lap 3 of the race, and Henny getting a little bit out of shape there. Talbot with a better run, but he is too far back for the moment. It's going to race him. It's still on the attack, and on the rear wagon, PRTR, who gets a little bit of oversteer on, and the McLaren, but ultimately the Red Bull unable to press him just yet. He is looking for a way through. They're closing rapidly. It's going to race him. They're trying to find a way through it. They're up the road is Siege, who is trying to run up with Reds, and with that good start occupies P4 for the moment and holding on to it as it stands right now. Dirtamo on the back of Henny, and he's on the overtake. He is poised to attack then. Can Henny hold it back? We saw the good straight line speed he had earlier. Looks like he'll hold on for the time being then, but PRTR has no such good fortune. As going to race in to the inside line down the straight. We're going to turn 13 with his nose in front and cut in front then. Through goes going to race in already on the 5th place. They're making quick progress in. And a P6 I should say. Now in the Red Bull, he's going to try and get up to Siege up in front there. Gap 1.5 seconds between all 3 of the drivers in front then. As their time begins to move away, the 2 drivers in front then. These 3 establishing themselves up at the front of the race. We hit the 4th lap of the race and yells already. That's PRTR, and PRTR dropping the McLaren into the wall and slips to the back of the field. And so he's got a lot of room to recover now. I think he's got damage as well on that right end plate. So he's going to have to try and recover it then, but that is bitter disappointment for the McLaren driver then. Ogwen's racer attacking TTGaming, who's struggling to hold it back to the medium tires. Ogwen and Gwebby, but round goes the horse now! Out goes Ogwen's right left, and he mistakes now in this 4th lap then. He's going to have to try and recover, keep it out the wall. PRTR will sail on by the McLaren. That's nightmare for both of them out there on the track then. Further over there, Tamo has a real one ahead now then, who's lost the DRS for Fletty. So around the outside there, Tamo will go. And easily sort himself into P2 with DRS and a catapult himself up towards Flatey. He's really fancy his chances there, chasing down the race leader out there on the track for the moment. Things are holding pretty steady for the Daggers. I think that's Alcobet's race is going in again. Has had an absolute nightmare, has the Haas driver He'll be able to get some fresh tires on. He's surely cooked this set, but he's got so much room to try and move up in this race then. Clef Cheese is trying to hold back. TTGaming just swarms on his rear wing at the moment then, but the Racing Point slipping back from the drivers in front and already linked 5 seconds to the group in front for the moment. And so he's going to have to try and look for more fortune, but that's not going to help him then. A penalty picked up already here in Canada. PRTR is going in for medium tires then after that front wing change that he'll surely have to go through. And well, medium tires, he can try and carry those all the way to the end of the race, but I imagine he won't be able to. He's probably going to have to put on another set of softs or even mediums further down the line. Dertamo though has race pace, looks electric so far, and he chases down HMW Fletty, who's going to have to be on his toes, looking to try and hold the charging AlphaTauri back. But the move doesn't quite come into turn 13 just yet, but Dertamo right on him, actually going to dive to the pit lane then. So he is betting the bullet, and Henry's following him in. So both these guys looking for the undercut as the soft tires already wearing early on in the race. These guys definitely commit, surely, to a two-stop strategy at the moment there, as medium tires are going to go over the pair. They're going to try and carry them all the way to the end of the race. Going to race them, holding in. Oh, TTG Siege, and he's also closing up to rest just in front of him. Both the Renaults staying out there. They cannot both come in on that lap. Gonna have to be one of them then, and maybe someone could try and stretch it to hards, maybe even mediums if they're feeling it, but certainly a one stop to hards is plausible rounds here, as now Dertamo, as I mentioned, from Henry just over a second clear. Now it's the Mercedes of Mays lead up there. That's going to help Fletty a lot. He's going to get held up there. So Dertamo corner behind Mays, but can't get through just yet then. Clef still holding these guys back. The Mays are able to get through. Dertamo gets great traction though, coming off. Oh, turn number 7 and pulls the exit lane, and through goes the AlphaTauri. Now he has Clef to line around this. Going to be accepted to the inside line. Oh, Siege will get through as well. Up DRS the Fed. He is on an absolute rampage at the moment as the Red Bull. Now can try and chase down the Red up in front then. Swaps further down the order there. Dertamo to the inside. Oh, geez, they're heading in, so making good progress. He's gone through a maze to the inside of the hair, and he'll look at Clef as well. Then let's see with DRS over then. The Racing Point has no such good fortune. Looks like everyone else is staying out for the moment on those soft tires. Looking to try and extend them, keep them going, carry them for further along. Clef looking to the inside of Dertamo. Hangs back for the move and still has no DRS. And can Eddie get up to him now? Down the main straight then. Going up towards turn 1 and the inside leg covered, but Eddie finds a gap to the inside lane, and turn 1 through he goes, does Eddie, and he's tracking Dertamo through then, keeping with the AlphaTauri. PRT are moving past Uncle Ben's race, so things going off again then. Hasn't come in yet, and won a nightmare race that still continues, that still lingers on. He is suffering so greatly out there on the track. It's going to be a set there, lighting up reds. The Renault holding him back, but he's losing time to Fletty in front, and he's still keeping on there. He must be going towards the hard tires and trying to make their one stop board. They're going to mediums. It's simply getting up track position that he can't afford to lose. But Scooter Ray said now, trying to line up Reds, and he punches over the hairpin well, but he's still going to be under threat then, with the Red Bull chasing him down then, who's starting from the rear of the field. Disqualification and qualifying, moves straight through the P2 again, and Fletty has gone into the pit lane now. What's it going to be? Is it going to be mediums, or hards, or even softs if he's going to go ambitious on the strategy? Comes in, and it's going to be mediums going on. He's going for the two-stop strategy as well, surely now. And so he's going to go in, but he may well give up track position. But how much is the traffic going to cost Dertamo and Henry as they're down the main street now with this fastest lap set? Now where's the Renault going to emerge then? He's going to get the straight run through. Heading through turn 1, he's going to emerge just behind it, a long way back actually. The undercut so strong, so powerful. The medium runners have jumped in front of Fletty. We'll have a runner trying to come back then. He's not got a penalty. He's got that advantage over Henry. He's got fresh tires on both of them to try and find his way back up towards him, but for the moment he is 2 seconds back with room to try and improve it. Click gets another time penalty, and he's under break from Mace. Now he gets Mace, rolls through, led to the wall, goes Mace. He's knocked an end plate off the Mercedes car. He's able to recover it, but that's a costly error. Is he trying at last? The frustration mounting all the time, and now back goes the Mercedes down in the 9th place, and an awfully isolated at the back of the field then. You said there's just 8 drivers and haven't had some sort of incident so far in the race. It's going to race out moving nicely there, but all the top 3 are going to dive in as Ironman making a follow. He can't because he's in that Ferrari and he's being tracked by Dertamo, Henry and Fletty as these guys continue to slap their authority on the race then. You look And Henny is trying to line up Dertamo, who's promoted to P2 as they hunt down Arthur Mike. Out on the track for the moment now, medium tires going on these guys then again, so no one seems to be committed. It is possible, as I mentioned, to go for the mediums, but very, very risky. You sense it may not be worth it. He's going to emerge just behind Clifton, and the Racing Point's going to race in. They're looking to get away through early then on these medium tires, but can't get through for the moment. Cliff's able to hold him back then. It's going to race there, maintaining P6 for the time being. Cliff is holding it back for how much longer? The extra grip of the mediums coming into play. It's going to race in, look to try and get underneath of them. Coming in. Oh, turn 7. DRS will overpower the resistance. Oh, the Racing Point up. And a P5 goes. Going to race in. Great comeback drive. He's 7 seconds back from the race leading trio. Can he make a way through there? Dertamo now. Highs over Mike. Oh, like W says the Ferrari. Is he going to be able to resist it with DRS now? But he covers the inside line. But Dertamo is going to sail on round the outside of the Ferrari. Usain's going to have to give it up. I suspect he'll dive to the pit lane. No, he stays out on a lap then. And so he's going to try and stretch these tires for as long as possible. Maybe go for that one-stop strategy. Heading to attacking the Ferrari next. To the inside lane as Sage moves past Giles in the background, who dives to the pit lane. Mike has no such fortune though. He has to settle in a P3 then. It's going to have Flaney trying to chase him down next then. These front two benefited from DRS now, pushing them further away from Flaney. Into the pit lane goes Cliff. Put on mediums. Let's see what he can do now as we hit the 10 lap mark here in the Canadian race. Up at the front, Dertamo still leads the way. Flaney now honing in on Ivor Mike. If he wants to stay in this race, he needs to get past immediately. Mike covering the inside line in a turn 8, but he is going to back off early on. He knows it's not a fight worth fighting, and through goes Flaney then, trying to get himself up towards the front two. If he eased the way slightly over the last few laps then. Henny trying to get himself towards Dertamo, but Dertamo has some really good pace and is keeping him at bay even with the 3 DRS zones. The AlphaTauri still maintains the racing and looks strong, looks powerful in the front of the race at the moment. Ivor Mike's still out there, and you said surely he's going to have to come in then. Those soft tires are going to be absolutely short, and he does indeed dive to the pit lane then. What tire is going to be going on the Ferrari then? He really stretched those tires to the limit. He's going to pay in terms of the track position. He's going to emerge. He's going to put certain mediums on yet again, but he may be able to take those to the end of the race actually. With the way that the tire wear falls, it's going to race in fast lap of the race, continuing his charge. He's getting a full second on Flaney ahead already. But soft to hard pitting at this stage of the race is possible. Soft medium may well be possible. But Mike is going to be at the mercy of a puncture of those tires then, so he might be committing to a 2-stop strategy as well. Closest battle on track is still Henny on the rear wing of Dertamo in front of him, but he's still just been able to hold him back as Dertamo, keeping the McLaren at arm's length, keeping him occupied, and at the moment there Dertamo holding the race lead, Flaney matching their pace, but Scooter steps slowly but surely running in from behind, and as Siege gets a penalty himself, but critically for him he is not at threat for the moment, and Reds is still 4.5 seconds behind as it stands right now. Henny's holding onto that DRS. He's got comfortably enough ERS to stick within this. I think he may well just be content to keep the AlphaTauri honest, not going for moves just yet. It's just trying to maybe gap the pack behind them. Their pace isn't really slower than anyone at the moment. They're making good progress, keeping it clean, and Henny closing right up to Dertamo as they head it through turn 2 then for the back of the order then. Red's getting a penalty for the back as well, and again though he's not the threat, but however Mike with pressure qualified Reds, he'll look to try and make good progress as well, try and close that gap down as it stands out there on track there. It's going to be making such good progress though, and that Red Bull speed looks to be mesmerised. The man that would have been on pole if he didn't invalidate in that qualifying session. Not invalidate, got disqualified I should say, did the Red Bull then, parking the car at turn 1. But he is rapidly working his way back into this race then from the rear of the grid line. Henny's still right there with Dertamo. He's closer this time around, and let's see what the exit is like. Coming off. Oh, turn 10, but the exit is emphatic for Dertamo, and he'll continue to stretch away then. But he's still got about 30% less battery than VR Henny behind. He'll look to try and benefit from that when the time comes. Still they run P1, P2, heading over the line then to the end of lap 12 then, and the DRS side to the ERS floyd then. Henny's going on the attack to the end of the Dertamo, lunges to the end of the turn 1. They roll wheels and they're going to go at it then, and a turn to the inside lane with the AlphaTauri nearly round goes Henny, threw everything at it, but somehow Dertamo keeps a hold of the race, and he's got an iron grip on it at the moment, and still maintains his moment. Henny is established as a offences now. He is now eager to put his case going to try and snatch that race lead, but still Dertamo is every inch the equal of the attacks of McLaren, has to throw at him then, 6-10 the gap, but Henny now over threatening, and he's established himself, and Dertamo now will be eager to threaten, looking over his shoulder in his left mirror, in his right mirror, to see when McLaren is setting up a move and trying to get through on him. Dertamo though will hold on for the moment, and he's got about as much of a gap as he did last time out at this time. Henny though on the overtake now. He's feeling more aggressive, he's fancying his chances of maybe getting away through it and closing rapidly on the straight. The gap coming down, 4 tenths, 3 tenths, almost 2 tenths. Henny into the braking zone for the chicane then. Henny, as Dertamo gets a penalty, things are equalised, and Henny's got newfound confidence here now, chasing down the AlphaTauri. The inside line not covered, he dives it down the inside for the second race running, but around he goes, just holds on to the car remarkably. Wheel to wheel contact was made. It was much more exuberant than the lunge he made last lap, but somehow he held on to the slide, but he gets a penalty, and now Fleddy is in the driver's seat in this race, sitting within penalty range of both the race leaders. He can distract them as they continue to squabble over track position. Maybe they do not know who the real threat is here, but Henny has used a load of battery. Still got a lot in him, but ultimately he's not quite got the edge that he had before then. He burned a lot trying to attack Dertamo, who was able to keep him at bay both times in. The lunges in a turn one were unfruitful. But can he get through sometime soon as we hit near the 15th lap of the race? He closes up hugely on the brakes there, but Dertamo is so strong out of that hairpin, he's able to counter that each time, but Henny's even closer this lap then, and Dertamo knows it surely now. The gap coming down again, 4 tenths now, Henny over the line, 3 tenths, it's coming on to less than a quarter of a second, and now right on his rear wing is Henny, coming out off the chicane. He's going to go on the attack again, DRS open, ERS in the use, and now to the inside lane he goes. Dertamo easing him towards the white line, but Henny's in front this time with the bracing, and at last snatches the race. Dertamo trying to respond up and around the outside, cannot get through, cannot counter it, and last Henny through. He got the move done, but at what cost? He now has 6 seconds of penalties. The AlphaTauri can just sit with him. Fleddy is nearly within DRS of these guys. If he can hang on to that, then he is in such an overwhelmingly strong position. He is going to try and fly up to them to get within that DRS range and hang on to these guys. For the moment though, he's not quite within it, just a tenth shy as it stands. And he maintains the lead though. Bit of a snap though heading out of turn 9, and Dertamo on the overtake. He's looking to try and strike back then. Ogobed's race just in front of him. His nightmare race continuing a long way detached from the rear of the grid. It's going to let these guys through very sportingly. Henny though, now breaking that two, he moves right over to the left of the track, and he cannot afford the slipstream, and look at the straight line speed he has then, keeping that gap and about half a second where it needed to be. Now over the chicane, and does Dertamo get a good enough run, and he gets a good exit certainly, but I think it's going to be too far away to challenge it. Henny though has burned a bit of battery then, making that way through. Now things roll square between him then, as Fleddy try to close up with the DRS for Dertamo in front. They held it back as Ogobed's race now into the pit lane, and will bow out of the race then, and I think that's fairly justified given the nightmarish scenarios that have come against him here on the track then. One thing to note though is the gap still coming down, and it's going to be a Seb still so inspired here in Canada and chasing down these guys as they approach the halfway distance. He is not at the fight for the win by any stretch of the imagination just yet. It's the Red Bull to try and get up to him again. Dertamo chases down Henny, but Henny is strong through turns 8 and 9 and is able to keep a hold of the race lead for now though, but one mistake is putting AlphaTauri right up towards him, but out of the hairpin, no such mistake is made just yet. But Dertamo used a little bit of overtake then, he's feeling his chances, but Henny looks poised and determined to hold on to this race leader as Cliff gets another penalty, and that's putting PRTR and Mason in range of him now. Surely that's not the first penalty he's picked up so far in the race then. Yellow's back in the field, and PRTR has dropped it into turn 4. He's not that front wing as well, that has gone out the session now, just retiring on the spot. The McLaren out the way. I'm not sure if that was disconnection or if he left off his own back, but back he goes, and ultimately now we're left with just the end of the race. TTML still hunting down VR Henny, who holds it back for the moment, but Stricker McLaren is giving these guys a bit of a scare as they head up through it, but of course it is ghosted. There's no such threat. TTML still attacking then, as PRTR, his AI car is disqualified then, taking out of proceedings here in the Canadian Grand Prix, and unfortunately that is going to be brought to an end. TTML still hunting down Henny again on the overtake, and he's eager to try and get through that, but the penalties for Henny is going to swing things against him anyway. TTML looks straight back, he needs to gap Flaney, he needs to gap the ever closing. Screwy Sam 27 now coming out of the hairband. DRS is going to be over there. TTML is going to go for the racing, and Henny defending. Yes, he will defend the inside line and going into the chicane. They're almost level, but TTML sails around the outside, gets the racing. Henny almost runs into him. Going through the final chicane, but he's able to just about keep it clean in. Flaney again closing in. It's going to be a Sam with phenomenal pace, chipping away the gap then. It was 6 seconds after the laps ago. Now he's halved it, and there's still half the race in front of us. Going to be a Sam is right in this race. Can he pull through with it then? Now, Flaney at last, after such a long and grueling process, has got himself up with a DRS and a chase down the leading duo at the moment, but still holding on at the moment. But he's got comfortably there with a DRS in. It's hitting, it's actually made a few mistakes, and TTML is shooting away now. 9-10, he's nearly out already. If he nails turns 8 and 9, he can break away, and he knows it. Trying to get that gap out. Henny though, hold on to it then. There is just thousandths of a second in it, but I think Henny just about held the DRS critically. But TTML's moving away, and he's still got battery to use as well, and he's going to use it immediately onto the straight end. Henny has DRS, but ultimately he won't be using it if he can't stay within that range. Flaney will be fancying his chances. Scuderia Sam is like an inevitable charge, and the gap continues to just get cut down and down. Flaney is offline. The last chicane will be able to hold back for the moment then. Henny with DRS has worked his way back in, but he needs to be on it. He has to stay within a 10th of their TTML's pace. To the opening of the lap, then he gets a good run through turn 1, then less so though. Go through turn 2, then the gap reopens down. There is still just 100th of a second in it as they run almost level terms in the 1 second gap. They need for DRS then, heading through the gap, sets 1.1 seconds. That's the first DRS, so this is the first sign of cracks for VR Henny, who drops back that he does not have DRS. Flaney behind him will fancy his chance, and he needs to get a move on here. Was going to be a set now, chasing the gap down, 2.6. Now is the gap between him and coming down all the time. Now it's going to be a set, working his way right back into this Canadian Grand Prix. Henny's not quite been able to hang on to their TTML's DRS even through the middle sector then. And Flaney will now look to try and go in the attack, but he's got less battery to use then. Henny has that advantage over their TTML, but he needs to use it now. Otherwise, the Avatar just disappears up the road then. 1.4 seconds the gap now comfortably out of range now. Flaney now fancying his chances. Late on the brakes then. Both of them get penalties on Amex. Henny does all damage, but the McLaren critically. Henny out wide into the wall, and then Flaney will try and get away through Shirley and the Renault. He's losing contact with their tower. He wants to get within penalty range. Up to the inside lane goes Flaney then, tries to get alongside the McLaren, can't get through just yet, and Scuderia Sam is almost with them now. 2 seconds to gap then. The lack of downforce striking the McLaren VR. Henny is trying to hold back with everything he has, and 2 seconds goes the gap, and opens all the time, and Flaney will be wary of this. He's got to get past, then get past now. Opens the DRS again, but Henny is not willing to let him through just yet. The Flame's got to do it the hard way, but he cannot find the gap yet. Heading in to turns 8 and 9, and can he get a good run through the exit? The only overtake then is going to draw alongside before the hairpin then. He'll get DRS as well, running round the outside. Henny trying to hold it on the brakes. He tries to stick his nose back to the inside, but he cannot, and through goes Flaney. Over to P2, will have DRS defend. Henny's got the overtake advantage, but he cannot quite use it to good effect. And look at where Scuderia Sam is. He's virtually within DRS now. And Flaney now with a penalty himself. Into the penalty now, the second round of pit stops commences here in Canada. And so in comes TTML, in comes Henny as well then. Both on the medium tires. They're going to get those tires swapped out for some fresh ones. Front wing change, of course, for Henny. Has to be like the mediums going on again. They'll be so out to the checker flag. Will everyone look to try and keep those mediums going longer, potentially, and maybe drag them to the end of the race then? Ready to start then for the second Renault in the race. And for P6 in a row, he'll lose out time for Mike, but he won't go any lower than that. He'll try to get an undercut on the Ferrari that was trying to chase him down. D'Artamo still trying to work his way in now. He's coming at the pit lane, and he is in the coattails of TTGC. He's just got to try and work his way through as soon as he possibly can. Of course, it's a small pit loss here, so it's very easy to come across the car that isn't even that far behind you in terms of the net position. But D'Artamo has to try and work his way through if he wants to keep himself at the front of the race. Fleddy will try and keep the pressure on him, but he's got a penalty. Scooter Race 7 still all clean though. Is he the real threat here? But down the order we got a battle there. Cliff and May still going at it then. Out on track, Cliff to in front of the Mercedes. For the time being, then both these guys going to get off those tires to the other. Their time went out. Up and alongside Siege, we'll have DRS to carry him through. Goes to the inside lane. And now will easily pick his way through it. Getting up in a third place. For the time being then, can he maybe keep pace with the two drivers in front? And he's on course to easily jump the pair of them. But he does have the penalties to his name. You can see the penalties up there on your screen as it stands for the moment then. You can see I'm just going to run you through things rather quickly. Fleddy though leads the way. He's heading out maybe past Siege, who does dive into the pit lane end. And he's going to try and get some fresh tyres on that Ferrari. Maybe use them to good effect. And he's still looking for P4 maybe in this race. He will emerge not far behind his teammate, who still has to pit again. So Siege making really nice progress in this Canadian race. And he looks to potentially be on for a top 5 finish, I should say. In this race, let's see if he can come through with it then. Fleddy ahead of Scooter Race Up, Renault and Red Bull separated by 2 seconds. When will the pit stops come through? Will they stretch it to a point where they put softs on, sacrificing an undercut to get themselves a better run to at least the first few laps after they come into the pit lane? But Fleddy is going to dive in, and the Scooter Race Up going to follow him. The Red Bull stays out then. Surely these are mediums now going on. HMW Fleddy, where will he emerge then? Is he going to be under threat from behind then? Scooter Race Up staying out there was his main chance of an undercut. But Henny, who is a long way behind D'Artamo now, of course, after that wing change there. D'Artamo fast lap of the race is really flying there. Fleddy's putting on softs. Now this is so ambitious, so risky. There's still 13 laps to go here in Canada, and the Renault emerges 6 seconds off. He'll be flying, of course. But will those softs be able to hold on all the way to the flag? Well, we can only find out that, but he's going to be nearing puncture territory. Surely that's a massive gamble, a massive risk. But he'll be flying in the next few laps then. He is risking all to get up to the top, with the gap already up to 6 seconds now. Can he get that gap down? When is Scooter Race going to come in, and is he going to go for softs as well? Is he going to go in now? Maybe go for mediums or softs. He's going to stay out and ensure that the softs get to the checkered flag. And so far throughout the lap, the Flea's not been able to get used to them just yet. The gap to D'Artamo was stabilising, still sitting around about 6 seconds. He's going to need to try and get a move on here. Needs to try and get some heat, some grip to those tires. Scooter ASM still out then, diving to the pit lane as the Red Bull gets to stop nicely. Into the pit lane, he'll emerge, I imagine, around about maybe in an upper Mike area, maybe between Hedy and Mike himself. I should know, be ahead of the McLarens for sure, actually. My apologies. D'Artamo, another fastest lap of the race, really stabbing us authority then. Scooter Race 7 emerging from the pit lane. Where is he going to be relative to Fleddy? He was a few seconds behind, and the undercut is going to come into play as well. He'll be ahead of Hedy now easily as he gets a short run, going through turn 1 and 2. Will emerge just in front then. Maybe a bit further back than I expected him to be though. So he's going to have to go on the hunt then. 4 seconds behind, and he's getting within 3 seconds to ensure that he's benefiting from that lack of penalty that he has for the win then. Fleddy on 3 seconds at the moment. So is D'Artamo in front then. D'Artamo may have enough in hand in this race then. And the Avatari, who's led most of the closing laps then. And this Canadian Grand Prix, he's led it from the front. He has fought off the challenges from behind. Now he needs to see it through for a little bit longer. Got to Fleddy, slowly but surely coming down. He's not out of this race just yet, as Ivan May picks up another penalty then. Isolated in 5th position, still out there on those mediums. And of course he did stay out quite late, so maybe he is thinking about going for that one-stop strategy. Nevertheless, his teammate is chasing him down rapidly and is already within penalty range. We've been looking for that 5th place. Red Mate is going to try and benefit then. Mays is going to, because Clef is going to emerge then just in front of the Mercedes. The race long battle between these two continues a long way off the rest of the field, but they're still Gonna fight for everything ahead. He gets another time penalty then. And Oliver Mike at the moment will try and get within range. He's got 12 seconds and Siege is not out of a chance. He's got fresh tires as well to try and stay within the range that he needs. Up in the front, there Tambo still leads the Canadian race from HMW Flight. P2 is going to race at P3 at the moment and 4 seconds separates P2 and P3 for the moment, and the undercut was pretty powerful, but it's going to race with a lap. First tires getting them underway, and now he's going to try and chase him there for the Ferraris, the closest battle on track then. Sage lining up his team. I think Mike is going to, no, he's not content to let through just yet. They're going to go to war out there. They're going to fight, but Mike surely under immense pressure, he looks towards the inside lane, heading into there, but scoops it back on the line, and Siege looking to the inside lane, will not go through just yet. Maze at last to the edge of the cliff, breaks incredibly late, gets it stopped, and goes through the Siege, then will make then, heading into the hairman then, is going to cruise on the straight then, and up goes Siege in a P5 then, continue again his upward curve of progress. Moving up to the order then, fast start for Scooter Race out there. Flaney just said it before, the soft tires have a lot of speed, have a lot of pace, but will it be enough then? You said that Flaney, with the penalty to his name, is going to struggle to get up to Turtamo just yet. Then Scooter Race out trying to get within that range. He's just half a second shy. The race went, still hanging in the balance, 25 and a half laps into the Canada race. So let's see how everything unfolds then. Maze and Colette, they both got a lap down now. And that's race, and the racing point coming back in the Mercedes to the inside lane, and turning against it all locked up into the side of the rear tyre of the left. He's had a disaster out there on the circuit, maybe not qualifying, hurt him, and now running down back of the field, isolated. And P9, he's got so much work to do now to get back into this, but you sense that even Maze maybe too much in front. I think these guys are pretty much set now. On P8 and P9, they're a lap down unless any miracles happen further up the order. Looks like that's where these guys are headed in terms of the positions. Not everything though. Instead, it's going to be a 7 to pick up a penalty, just to know. And so now, things are equalised. And a great chance he had of winning this race may yet now be really up against him. He chases down Maze. Maze, of course, will not fight it. His car is ghosted. But Scooter Race Seb had a real fighting chance this race. Now Tamo looks to be pretty comfortable. He's still holding that 5-second lead. Scooter Race Seb's not catching Flenny much either. Now Tamo looks like he can just drive it to the checkered flag now. He's had to put up a fight. A lot of adversity from behind, but he's kept it together, kept his head, and now to the line then. Just coming up with 8 laps to go. Tamo's well in front. He's headed for a potential race victory here in Canada. Can anyone stop the Avatar? And then Fleddy's cut back a little bit on this lap, but not by much, it has to be said then. Skinner Seb is slowly reeling him in as well, but the gaps are not converging at the rate they need to be for the men in P2 and P3. Then they may go to battle yet on track, but their Tambo is matching Fleddy's pace, continuing to press on in the further race. And that charge, simply phenomenal from the Avatar now, running clear at the front of the race. Things have begun to settle down now in these latter laps. The field has begun to spread out, and so we are now just running towards the line. And we'll see if there are any dramas though on board with any of the drivers then. Gaps have opened up between them. Do we have any dynamics? Well, Henny was the threat from Siege briefly, but he has really made a nice statement in the last few laps. If you look at the penalties then, at the moment Siege has a 9-second penalty advantage, but it's now over 9 seconds behind. So Henry, I think, is just about set on that 4th position as it stands. I don't think the penalties are actually changing anything in terms of the order. Fair play to Maze for still being clean in the race, but he's in no position to really benefit, unfortunately, from the penalties that have been racked up in front of him. Unless one of the leaders gets the penalties, that can maybe swing things up in the air. But for the moment, Tamo is safe at the moment. Even if he gets another one, Reds gets a time penalty. And he's trying to chase down Mike out then, and that's going to give him less of a chance. It's going to be a Seb out the session then. He must have disconnected it. I saw him lag it about, but now the Red Bull dropping that connection. And he's going to get real deep from behind, and his AI car, of course, is going to be way off the pace of most cars. You can see him going down to 110 heading through turn 1 then. Hetty considerably quicker, so he can look to try and close that gap down then. Siege is just at that penalty range that he needs then. Hetty's got to be careful not to pick up another one though. 4th place is certainly not his, and certainly still under threat right now. And already Scooter Race dropping back. Heading coming up towards then. And the McLaren. So he's got a good run to get himself into the top 4, which is a good solid result, you must be said, for the McLaren. He can now just run it all the way through and just get that car driven home, as he's now clear of Siege, clear of anyone else that can oppose him. If Siege didn't have a penalty, well, things may well have been very different in a battle over that potential podium here. But he's now got a real chance of it. The question is, can he gap Scooter Race MCI car? But Scooter Race, actually, my apologies, he will just get removed from the results, actually, just of course, unless he can get back into session. Maybe he has backup invites to use, and if he takes control of his car again, he will still be able to take credit for whatever result he can get. He's still got a fairly easy road to P3, even if Hedy does catch him. And I think his AI car, I think I saw it dive into the pit lane in the foreground. Yes, it did. So a bizarre strategical from his AI. Maybe saying the softs wouldn't have made it. That's one thing we got to be looking out for, as the aware of these soft tyres out then, especially in terms of Flaney. He is going to be on the absolute ragged edge in terms of those tyres come the end of the race. And you can see emerging from the pit lane, Scooter Race 7. I think he is back in control of his car. It's not ghosted, I don't think, as he emerges. No, my apologies. It now re-goes just as he re-enters the track. And now Ivor makes sure to easily dispose of it. He's still got Reds hunting him down, but Reds with one extra penalty. That's going to hold him back. He may still try and get a move done out on track, though he's slowly but surely worked his way up towards the Ferrari in front. So he's now looking to try and fade the way through late in the day here. So now, coming up now, you can see Ivor Mike in the rear line now as the RS help him out to defend from Reds behind, and he gets a penalty. Now things are equalised in that spell. There's now over P5 then, and Reds got a good run as well then. So now Meg under such pressure now to keep it home, but he's got Red's got an ERS disadvantage, and he's going to have much, don't have much to deploy. We'll have DRS and a great slipstream tuck right under his way right then to the outside. He's going to go there. Can he outdrive the Ferrari who moves over to the inside line? DRS activated. They go into the last chicane as one, but the DRS carrying Reds around the outside. He's going to hit blade damage though. Sweeps around the outside and Meg going round, catching the rear wing. Oh, the rear wheel of the Renault swiped across him. And now back goes over Meg, then down in the P7. Oh no, what disaster for the Ferrari driver. He re-emerges now, but an awful long way off the rear of the pack now. And I think now he has pretty much Seb settled. Maybe he can get up to Scooter Race Seb's AI car. I don't think he'll be too happy with that incident, but that is unfortunately him coming off worse then as it stands. Coming through now with 4 laps to go. Jutsabo well clear now here in a Canadian Grand Prix. You can just see it out to the checker flag. Just keep it between the lines and he is going to be all set and job done. He leads by 5 seconds over Fletty, who even still with an extra penalty now to his name and potential struggling with tyres. So maybe Hedy could get P2 at the moment. Mays gets the penalty, so no clean drivers now remain here in the Canadian Grand Prix. It's a testament to what this circuit brings out the drivers then. Keeping between the 2 white lines is extraordinarily difficult, and we have seen that on full display here tonight. Of course, this is a remarkably short season calendar, so every result's going to matter hugely for the championship. Of course, I believe everyone in this field that finishes is going to be getting points to their name, to their tallies. So there's a McLaren is going to, that's Hedy who's spinning around, and this changes things dramatically then. Hedy recovers the car, but he's suffered a major blow, and now Siege is right there with him in DRS as well with less penalties. He can drive home, and well, I think the Fletty's still getting him even with it, even if he comes in, but certainly P3 looks very much in order. Hedy, that's a critical error for the McLaren. You have to feel for him. He can try and work any magic he can, but you said he's going to be really up against it to keep a hold of that position 3. As Siege with the overtake, he can just sit with it for as long as he possibly can and then benefit and profit from the penalties of the man just in front of him. Coming through the last chicane now, Siege is trying to get through. Hedy's going to hold it back then. He's a little bit quicker over that chicane, but ultimately he might be able to break away, but he'll surely not be able to extend the gap that he needs not in just 3 laps of racing, unless he makes a major error then that's going to drop him well out of contention. Tamo leads the way just been poised, perfectly poised and moving clear. At 5.5, he's pulled away. Deflate's tires having in him to make it, but even so, he can come in and maintain P2. He's got such a gap now to the drivers behind that he could just keep that flow to the checker flag. And I wonder if he knows that, he sees that. It's about 17.5 seconds, the pit gap around here. So he can just come in, and he may well be in range of Siege, but Siege can, well, he can very easily overhaul Siege with much fresher tyres. If I were the Renault, I'd come in for a new set of softs. Let's see what he's going to do. Is he going to try and keep those tyres going to the end? Yes, he is! And so he's going to be brave here. A puncture could cost him more than a pit stop. We'll see. Maybe he's confident that he's got enough left then to take them all the way through then. Further back, Siege has dropped out that DRS range of Eddie in front. And he's trying to get back within it with the battery, but ultimately he doesn't need it. He can just cruise home, avoid a penalty critically, and just see out that P3 then. That is what Keep It Clean could do. Of course, he benefited from getting a good start to the race, but he made it work then from that platform and has worked his way through in a 4th place then as the Reds gets a penalty. 3 seconds, 12 seconds that he has. And actually, Scootery accepts the iCars within range, but that's not going to benefit him. His real threat is Mike, and Mike with 9 seconds of penalties is not within range. He's actually going in there, maybe going for a fast lap of the Ferrari. So let's see what he can do then. Maybe late in the day, maybe thinking those mediums that he took all the way from early in the race after that softs then. He elected that they weren't quite going to make it, so he's going to go in, not lose any track position, and just try and maybe get fastest lap on the last lap. Let's see how that unfolds. He's close to a lap down though. Dertamo's not far from him as he now starts the last lap of the race. Nearly 7 seconds clear from the guys behind us. Fletty nursing those tyres through. He's done a superb job of keeping them going. But Dertamo now, from the front of the race, I'll make another penalty then as he presses. He's able to stay in front of the cars behind, and he will get that pop and maybe try to grab that fastest lap. Dertamo though, now on the final lap, he knows he's clear. He knows he's had a run down, almost no threat from behind. He is just taking it home now. The AlphaTauri's had to put up with some challenge. Fletty and Hendy in the early stages. Scootery and Seb looked at once like he could challenge him further down the line, but of course disconnections and incidents and just flip for Henny and Scootery and Seb, and ultimately Fletty just wasn't quite able to live with their Tabo, who now runs right at the front of the field. 6.5 seconds clear. He has dominated the second half of this race. Come under no threat behind, and in the first race of EML Formula 2, he's gone off to the best possible start as now he heads towards the checkered flag on a 35th lap of 35 here in Canada. To the line, Dertamo looks in. The last chicane he goes. Dertamo round the final corner, comes up to the line. He's going to win the first ever race in EML Formula 2. Dertamo crosses first. Fletty settles for second. But it's a well-earned second at that, and he crosses NP2, just holding on to those tyres then. We got yellow set, I think red has gone off, but he has just been enough in hand over the cars behind then. Henny chasing the lane by Siege, and Siege can just keep it clean. And well, Henny will cross the lane at P3. TTG Siege will overhaul him on penalties and snatch third on the line, and he gets third in the end. Reds will cross in 5th position out there then. Pretty much isolated. He may actually lose out on penalties to Scootery Seb, but of course Seb, that will matter. He gets a penalty as well at the last corner to rub salt into the woods. He crosses 5th. He will be demoted to 6th after Scootery Seb's AI crosses the line, but that's not going to make much of a difference. Maze has crossed the line then in this race. P8, Cleffin P9. However, Mike is up there. Can he snatch fastest lap then to the end of the race, and he clips his end plate coming off of the last corner. Iron Mike going for the line. I'm not sure if he snatched it the fastest lap then. I think it was a 199. That was in the hands of Scootery Seb, but that is it then for the first race in EML Formula 2. Scootery Seb's AI somehow gets tried for the day, of course. He started from the rear of the field, worked his way back superbly after that disqualification in qualifying, but ultimately after his connection failed, it just wasn't to be. And so that is it for the first race, and you're going to see our podium now in front of us, our podium ahead of us. There is your race winner. It is Dertamo, who, as I mentioned, in the second half of that race, came under all but no threat from behind. Fletty comes through at P2, Siege at P3. That is your podium for the first race in EML Formula 2. We'll see how the rest of the season is going to unfold. And so now it is those three that take the plaudits from the first round in EML F2 We'll see what happens next. We still have 6 further rounds ahead of us. There is the final results. PRTR and Okubin's race. Unfortunately, didn't see out the race. They're going to not be able to take home any points from today, not classified within the distance. But yeah, I think that is it then for the racing here tonight. Thank you all very much for tuning in to the first race in EML Formula 2. And of course, that is going to be Canada in the books and in the records. That is the first round of hopefully many here in EML F2. The next round is going to come to you from Britain, an iconic circuit. Stay tuned for that. Should be an electric race around there. But with everything said and done, I've been Daniel Hoger running through comms here tonight. And with everything done for the evening, until next time, we'll see you later.